California streaming in the evening. I can't sing. I don't know why I bother doing that. California streaming. I've had that stuck in my head. Okay. So, we are going to get our postings done real quick. Here we are. Do this nice and easy. Art stream happening right now. Yes, indeed. Let me copy that. Copied. Let me hit the enter key. Let me go here. And let me hit the enter. Nope, I gotta paste first. Yeah, someday I'll understand how these social medias work. Let me paste that there. Let me delete the old link. Otherwise, people won't realize what it is. And let's see. Let's go to one other place on here. Where is... There it is. Okay, let me... Jeez, I got so many of these friggin' things. All right, let me... Oh, I guess... Should I put this on Mastodon, too? I guess I should, right? I guess now that I'm on Mastodon, I should put this stuff on Mastodon. All right, so let me close Discord. I don't need that open anymore. Now, first, I'm going to go to Twitter, because I'm still on Twitter. Twitter is, as of this moment, still alive and kicking and working as far as I'm aware, unless it's just gone down now. So I'm going to go here, and let's go ahead and post right there. Bang. Tweet has been sent. Okay. Let's jump over to my other account, because who anymore could possibly just have one account anywhere? You can't have one account anywhere now. You have to, even if you only... I only really had one active social media account, which was Twitter. Even on Twitter, I had two, because I have my account, this one, or my personal one, I guess I would call it, and then I have the show one. So even I'm only trying to use one quote-unquote social media service, Discord I guess counts, but, you know, that's a fuzzy definition at best. Even there, even there, what was the word I was going for there? Oh, even within trying to only use one platform, I already had two accounts. That's not even counting the fact that now I have a Mastodon account. So now I have technically, depending, right now I just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 posts of the art stream going live. Unbelievable. I mean, just unbelievable. Anyway, those are all out of the way. How's everybody doing? It is a Wednesday evening as of the time of this stream. I am, I think, mostly past whatever cold or illness I had. It was not COVID. I did verify that 3 times. I took 3 tests because I started getting sick right after we flew back from New York. And of course, my first thought was, oh great, I've got COVID right before Thanksgiving, which means I'm not going to be able to go to Thanksgiving. However, did 2 tests before Thanksgiving with a day and a half apart or so. Both came back negative. I never did get any severe symptoms, so I was not as concerned after the first about 48 hours because my throat was cottony, but it never got sore. And what I was dreading was that it was going to get sore because I had cotton throat and a runny nose. And those, at least the last time I heard what the symptom kind of commonality was, that was an Omicron kind of common thing. So I really just dreaded that that's what I had. But I did, was responsible. I took the tests. Kind of, my wife did as well before we went down to her parents because we wanted to be careful because people were getting together. And vaccinated or not, nobody wants to get sick. So ruled that out. And fortunately, my symptoms never... And then I tested a couple days after, too, just to be sure. I just wanted to make sure, because I thought, sometimes... Because the way that testing has been done has kind of evolved, and they said, well, within a few days of symptoms. So I just wanted to rule everything out. But I was negative on the 3rd test as well. So at this point... And now I'm pretty much past it. I really never had... The throat thing went away after maybe the 2nd day. The runny nose, I'm still fighting a little bit, but it's certainly not nearly as bad as it was over the weekend. Fortunately, I was off from work on Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving, and then the weekend. So honestly, I generally luck out in when I'm sick. The worst period of sickness is usually when I don't have to work. Because working when you're sick is just miserable. Not only that, but if I'd been really bad, I would not have gone into work because I'm not going to get anybody sick. I don't care what it is. Nobody wants to be sick. People are like, oh, it's just a cold, go to work. Yeah, except then people at work have families too. I don't want to get people sick if I had the off time. I'm not saying that just sit around. I mean, I would have been doing nothing, but it's not as if going in sick. Because I've heard people say, well, if you're well enough to watch a movie at home, you're well enough to work. Yeah, but you're still sick. I don't want to get anybody sick. That's the bigger thing. This is the first time I've been sick that I really can tell in like 3 years. I don't want to get anybody else sick. Anyway, whatever. Let's get to it. So let's jump over to here. Let's do our little starting soon thing. Bang. I will be working on replacing this probably within the first couple weeks of next year because I'm going to have some free time. I'm going to be working on my replacement for this, I think, or something that's different. I don't know. I mean, it's fine for now. So maybe I say that. Maybe I won't do it. We'll see. In any event, it really doesn't matter. Okay, here we are. Oh, this is I was working on this actually on the plane to New York. I was working on this. This is an old drawing of mine that was all pencil. I can show you. Because I like doing this. Oh, did I not? I didn't. Okay, here. I'll just do this. This is easier than me doing. I don't know why I didn't group things, but I didn't. So anyway, there's the original drawing. So I had taken a picture of this before I got on the plane because this was all done in, I don't know, probably graphite pencil or something like that. And I knew I wanted to digitize it because I always kind of liked the image. I always thought the image was sort of neat. But I'd like to have a digital version of it. And these colors that I've got here are not necessarily finalized. But essentially, I saw a picture of a guy in a suit standing in the wind. And I thought of the Sandman, the classic Sandman, the Wesley Dodds character. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. It looks... I'm going to probably have to... I mean, I was giving him a dark suit because the time period, he would have been wearing a dark suit. But it doesn't really read very well the way it is right now. It just looks like it's blending in too much, so I'll probably change that. But that's... And I'm using the... as you can see up here, the stippling brush I'm trying to use to simulate that charcoal-y feel. I mean, it's not going to be one-to-one. And I could have done this with a digital charcoal thing, but the whole point was I wanted to make it more inky. So I'm trying to hit that middle ground there. So I'm using that brush, I don't know, some of this is probably going to get erased or redone, but I think it works well for the shading. I actually kind of like that stipple feel to it. So this has got a long way to go. I just happened to remember I had this open, and God, his skin tone is all wrong. Wesley Dodds is a very, very pale individual. I don't know why the skin tone is like this. I've got to fix that. Where is the skin tone? I don't even know why he's got this skin tone. Wesley Dodds is a pasty white guy. I mean, he might even be British. No, I don't think he's British. No, actually, I think he's American. But he's definitely not a pale, or he's not a individual with darker skin of any type. So that's more like it. Yeah, I don't know where I came. Well, I was also heavily medicated on the plane, so I probably wasn't completely in my right mind when I did that. Anyway, let's get into the drawing, or the illustration. I shouldn't say drawing. That I am trying to work on here, which is the glass. So let's see, where was I in this? Oh, I was messing around. So I don't think I did this stuff on the stream. I don't think. But let's remind everybody where we are, glass-wise. Because I think I did his skin on the plane as well. I just needed stuff. When I'm on a plane, I hate flying so much I have to distract myself. So I think I did some of this stuff on the plane. But I like where this is going. We've got the frame. I think the frame was on the stream. So this framing we've got, that was already there. The robes I know I did because I was kind of demonstrating the different glass pieces thing that I do. So really, all we have left, all quote-unquote, I think I'll do what I'm calling the holy diamonds, which are just those shapes behind his head, the diamondy looking things, and the halo. So I think I'll do those tonight. Aiming for probably about an hour-long stream or so. I don't like to usually go over an hour. So, which is this skin glass? Okay, so we're going to call this all. We'll group that, and we will call that skin. Oh, not skin. Skin glass. There we are. Okay, so let's do a new one. Let's turn off the other glass because I like to work with the other glass off. Kind of keeps the glass that I'm looking at nice and pure. But essentially, yeah, so we're going to aim to... I'm going to take a drink because I think I put a lot of salt into what I made for dinner, so I'm extraordinarily thirsty. Bear with me 1 second. Man, water is just so good. I know I say that every other stream, but water is so good. It really is crazy. Honestly, there is no beverage that when you're truly thirsty is ever going to equal cold water. It's just not going to happen. Whether that's a biological byproduct of the fact that we need it or what, because water doesn't have a flavor, and yet, man, is it good. Anyway, okay. At least your water shouldn't have a flavor. I'll just say that. Unless you are flavoring it, your water shouldn't have a flavor. Okay, let's jump in here. Okay, so we will do the same thing we've been doing as far as the glass effect. And let's grab the water. The water brush really is the best one that I've found for doing this stuff. Which is what, organic maybe? I don't remember. Where's that brush? The water. Maybe it's, no, it's not. It's not this water. What is it? It's, okay, explain to me. Well, I'm not going to tell you. You don't work for Procreate. Why is there a water effect in Elements, and yet there's a whole water section that doesn't have the water effect? I'm just saying it doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's okay. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So, we'll take our water. We're going to go with white because this is the haloing. So in the halo, I want to have a white effect. And brush size should be okay. Oh yeah, we're fine. That's good. So we're going to go ahead and just do this all over the place because because all this is going to share the same basic water effect, more or less. Okay. And I might sniff a few times. I'm not completely over the cold yet, but most of it is in fact gone. So now, as you know, we're going to alternate our panes or pieces of glass. So, but first we will liquefy the original. So let's liquefy this. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, the streaks. Beautiful, isn't it? I love the fact that this makes these weird little effects. It's just so great. I mean, I don't even remember how I figured or did this the first time. I don't think I saw anybody do this. I think it was just something that I did. I was just kind of messing around. I think I was just messing around with the liquefy tool, and I went, oh, you know, that kind of looks like the streaks you get in glass. But I don't think I saw like a rare case where I didn't see somebody else do something and go, oh, that actually modify this and that'll work really well. It's just something I thought looked neat. Okay, so let's duplicate that. And let's go ahead and do some rotation on it so that we vary up those lines a bit. Okay. And then we'll further liquefy just to really push out the variation a bit on these because there's some gaps. Okay, looks like we're good there. Okay, good there. All right, excellent. Okay, we're going to do, because we have basically 3 different types of pieces. So 3 different colors, 3 different pieces, which is, just to turn this off so you can see what I'm talking about. So what I'm saying is basically, if you look here, you've got 3 different temperatures of color, therefore 3 pieces of glass. Because you've got this color, oh, fine. You've got this color, and this color. 3 different colors, 3 different types of glass. Okay? So, I don't know why this layers. Oh, I know why that layers there. All right, duplicate. Okay, let's take that, and let's go ahead and do a rotation. And turn that off, and we'll go in here, and we'll do a bit of liquefaction on it. There we are. Bring those streaks nice and through. Just like I said, I want to make sure I get as much variation. Especially with white, it's going to be a little tricky to see it. So, that's okay. Not a big deal. All right, so now let's turn off our colors. Let's turn on our background. Okay, not that background. That background. There we go. I really should make this a little bit darker because it's going to be a little bit tough to see what I'm doing. So let's make that a nice deep purple. Deep purple like the band. The band was called Deep Purple, right? I think it was. Okay. Let's do this layer first. And let's take our painting eraser, which we can definitely make bigger than that, but not too much bigger. And let's just do the big areas that we can do nice and quickly and easily and just knock those out. Okay. Do that, chop in there, chop out here. Knock that out. Okay. And it shows that somebody is viewing. I think it's been there for a little bit. So, hello to whoever that is. Welcome to the stream. such as it is. Yeah, so we'll knock that out. I feel like I've been working on this thing forever. Well, I mean, you know what? It feels that way because I do try to save some stuff I'm working on for this. Ooh, no, don't erase that though. Save it for the stream. I don't know. I really have no sense, none, of whether people really care about the stream in terms of actually the technique type of thing, or if they're just hanging out type of stuff. I don't care either way. You show up while you show up. That is completely up to you. I'm not, certainly not trying to advocate for only people who want to learn. I mean, what am I teaching, really? Come on, let's be honest. I mean, that was the idea that anybody would actually learn anything. Outside of maybe how to make a stained glass effect in Procreate, which I have to admit, this effect works for me. I have no doubt there are other people who have figured out probably better ways to do it, but I happen to like this. I must admit, I do like this kind of approach to things. Okay, let's see here. See, this is where, if I had a real streaming setup, you know, if I did things far more efficiently and effectively, this is the point where I would bounce this image potentially, but see, I know it wouldn't work because all the layers are separated. So it really wouldn't work the way that I work. I was going to say I could bounce this into Photoshop, select all the areas inside of these black lines, and very quickly just erase all this stuff. But you know what? It wouldn't work that way. I always think, oh, this is such an inefficient way to do it. But it's not really that it's inefficient. I mean, it is. But that inefficiency is because of how I draw things. It's not really because there's a much easier way to do this. There isn't for the way that I do things. So I really, you know, it really would be great. I don't think Procreate has... I honestly, I haven't looked, but I don't think their select tool, what they do, it does say clear, freehand. Hold on. Really? Hold on a minute. Maybe I'm an idiot. Am I an idiot? Well, it didn't clear. Wait, it didn't clear anything. Hold on. Clear. Well, it didn't clear anything. So what happened there? Okay, clear. Oh, wait. It did do so. Oh, I see what it did. Oh, wow. Okay, wait a minute. Huh. That's interesting. Well, maybe this can work. Hold on a second. I never tried this before. Let's see. I mean, I don't know if this is... Oh, you know what? Actually, it is. So if I draw this, does that actually clear it? Oh, yeah, look at that. Wow, I'm a fool. All this time. Okay, wait. But can I deselect it? How do I deselect it? Okay, there we go. Wait, did it put it back? Hold on. Why did it not... See, I think I think this tool actually could work, but I don't really know what I'm doing with it. Hold on a minute. So if I do this and I say clear, okay. Okay. Oh, all right. No, it stayed away. Okay. I guess, is that additive? Or not additive would be the wrong word for it, but is it stacking? I don't know. Whatever, this is actually faster. So I could just keep doing this? Is that the idea? I could just keep on, if I do that? Yeah, I guess so. Wow, that's really interesting. I don't know why it doesn't go away after it clears, but I also really don't care, because this is definitely going to be faster than the way I usually do it. More or less. Of course, I have to be careful, because if I make a mistake, this is all for nothing. So actually, let me just do... Because, yeah, I will probably make an error. That's really interesting, though. Yeah, oh, that is a very... Oh, man, is that an ugly line or what? Does it do straight lines? It does not do straight lines. Okay. So, see, now this is the interesting part is... Okay, no, it stayed away. Okay, this is something interesting. I never... you know what? I think the last time I tried this, what I didn't understand, I think I was trying exactly what I was doing here, but the difference is I didn't tap on that bubble. Now, honestly, had I a brain in my head, well, I gotta be careful with this, because I know I'm missing little things, so I just want to make sure, like that. I know I missed that. Had I a brain in my skull, I would have looked up what these tools do so that I would have known this. But then again, if I had done that, I wouldn't have discovered it on the stream for everybody to look at and marvel at how somebody could get to my place in life and not, still at this point, learn how to read manuals for products that they use all the time. And, learn how to use them. Anyway. But, you know what? This thing works. This is nice. I mean, I would love to just clear out the former stuff. But then again, it's not that big a deal. It really isn't. Oh, you know what? I have to determine, now that I'm doing this, I got distracted from myself. All right, so let's, let me look at, I do need to turn the colors on so that I can decide. Whoa, wait a second. What? Why did it clear? Okay, well, so much. Did it clear everything? Whoa, what did this do? Why are the colors gone? Where? Okay, never mind. I thought that tool must do something else. I'm not going to mess with it because I don't know why it was clearing out other stuff. It doesn't matter. So obviously I have to read about that tool. Regardless, it really doesn't matter. I didn't lose that much time, so I don't really care. So we're going to make this the, let's go to the Halo color, or the Holy Diamonds colors. Are there actually 4 colors? 1, 2, 3. Really? Those are 2 different colors? That color and that color. Oh, I guess there are 4 colors. Interesting. Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, well, hey, that's no problem. All we do is we activate this layer. We duplicate it. And we're going to do a... we'll do a flip vertical. Okay, we'll turn this off. We'll take liquefy from here. And we'll do a little bit more. Not a problem. We are adaptable. Okay, there we go. All right, let's stick with this. So let's turn off the Alex colors. Let's turn off the robe colors. And let's go with this layer. Turn off, turn off, turn off. So this, what we're seeing here, this is what this layer of glass, top, that was accidental, but actually good. Top layer, in terms of hierarchy. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping really badly. Okay, so let's get our paintbrush back because we can do large areas again now. I'm not in the right spot at all. Bang, there we go. All right, let's cut lots of this because this we really don't need. So that's easy. We can, I mean, we have to be somewhat careful, but not terribly so because I have lots of room here. But that's still going to save me a bunch of time in erasure. Okay. I've got to figure out how that clear tool works because that it seems like it should work. I don't know. There's got to be a trick to that. Clearly, it's just something I have to learn properly. Not an uncommon thing for me to be saying. Okay, actually, you know what? We can take the painting tool and we can just knock it down to say, oh yeah, that's better. We can do, these are thick lines, so we can be a little bit more loose. Not in these small areas. Tight areas, I still got to be careful. That bugs me so much. Bugs me. This is why I like to keep my colors tight. Because it's very, very, very easy to just slop over the lines like that. And, you know, with if I wasn't doing the glass, it would not matter. Then it would not be... What is that? What is that color? Where is that color from? Where is that color from? Oh, that's weird. Where's that coming from? It's not the frame. The graph? Really? Where's the graph coming? Oh, that green line. I don't know how I did that, but that's okay. Easy enough to fix. I just fixed it. Okay, turn it back on. So, you know, being sloppy with the colors is usually not a big deal for me because normally I'm not doing glass stuff. So you would never see it. It would just be under another color, and it makes it very quick to just do fill colors. But with the glass, because I'm trying to keep these lines tight, or these edges tight, I should say, of course, then you see it. So can't always be slop. I mean, I can still do it, but oh, look at that. But see, then you see stuff like that, and it's just like, oh, come on, man. Come on, man. And then I notice I must have missed an area right there, so let me... This is, see? All this little type of stuff, it just reveals things. It reveals what you have done right and wrong. I don't know why I did an accent for that. I was trying to do some kind of mystic fortune teller thing there, I think. Is that the graph line? Where is that? What line is that? What is that? Oh, the frame. Okay, I was going to say, that shouldn't be there. And that's because I had the wrong thing turned on. Okay. Back to it. All right, let's look for sharp angles because we're going to have to do that for everything. So I might as well just do it. Look at that. You can see where it's bleeding over right there. I got to fix that. Again, not a big deal. Would anybody really see it? No. But I'll know it's there. And it's not like it's really all that difficult for me to just fix that. Okay, that's already cleared. Gotta do this one. There's another piece of yellow missing. So you don't see this when you're doing the broad stuff. Oh, sorry. But then when you're doing this close work, then you're seeing it. And it will just it drives me mad. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't drive anybody else mad. Maybe I'm way over, worrying about this stuff. But it really just bugs. Because I know it's there. You know what I mean? It's just, I know it's there. It doesn't make a difference. Because somebody's inevitably out there going, nobody's going to care. Once it's all done, you're never going to see it. I'm not disagreeing. But I'll know it's there. It's kind of like that scene in The Shadow where he sees the hotel and he says, no one else can see it, but I can see it. I don't know that I've ever worked in a Shadow reference like that before. Kind of proud of myself that I did because I love that movie. Boy, do I love that. Oops, I'm in the wrong layer. I do love that movie quite a bit. Not necessarily all that sad that it didn't get a sequel either, because who knows if the next one would have been as good. But Alec Baldwin, man, at that time and that place was the perfect choice for that role. I mean, they really picked the guy who did everything that I think... I have zero complaints on that movie. I think they really stacked that cast well. I mean, there's really no bad people in it. Ian McKellen before he was really well known. Penelope Ann Miller, who I like. I think she's very good. What is it? John, I don't remember the villain's, the actor's name. But he's great in the villain role. Great. One of the... And, people will disagree, I guess. And not a villain in the vein of something like Darth Vader or stuff like that. I'm certainly, it's not the type of villain he's playing. But a great kind of throwback, the simple... I know that the character most likely had... I mean, I don't know this, but it just seems like it must be that the character probably had... I don't know who wrote The Shadow. But the Shiwan Khan, if I'm pronouncing that right, character... seems like it probably is a racist yellow menace villain. But I think what, at least in the movie, I don't know about in the radio plays. I've heard them, but not so long. I really couldn't tell. Honestly, I don't remember them. But at least in the movie, I think the character is played without a lot of the more troubling elements that Asian characters in these types of roles, and maybe again at the time when the radio show was on, it may have been a very terrible character. I don't really remember. So I'm certainly not trying to overlook if there is that. I mean, it's kind of one of those things like when you go back and watch what's the one Doctor Who episode, the Tom Baker one, the Talons of Wang Chiang, I think is the title of it, and it's very tough to watch with a modern eye. Even though it's a great story, it's a great story that has some really just horrible Asian stereotypes, and it just does. There's nothing you could do about it. It simply is. You know, and I understand that there's people who will say, well, watching it is supporting that stuff. And you know what? That's one of those areas where I go back and forth on stuff like that. I don't, you know, you can't necessarily erase. I don't know. I've talked about this before. Oh, I'm in the wrong layer. But I'm not going to get into all that. Everybody makes their own decisions. I'm not going to dwell on that stuff. But The Shadow as a film, I think, actually handles everything very well. In terms of the character and taking that character and making a, I think, really effective film version adaptation of the character. I love The Shadow. I think that movie is fantastic. I think it is deeply underrated. I mean, even, you know, at the time it didn't do very well. I don't really remember why. Probably because it was going up against something bigger. But it was not well received at the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not a great film in some unknown way. Like, I'm not going to compare it to something like, I mean, even the Tim Burton Batman, which I think is sensationally good. It's obviously not at that level, but I think it's a very good version of the character. And The Shadow, honestly, is never going to be that, because that character, kind of like if they ever were to do the Sandman, the Wesley Dodds Sandman, they obviously did the amazing Netflix adaptation of the modern interpretation, the Neil Gaiman version of the Sandman, which is supposed to be an updated version of Wesley Dodds, the original Sandman. If they were to do a great Sandman movie, and I think they could, original Sandman, that's a movie that I would probably give to somebody like Sam Raimi, who was going to do The Shadow. Or is it Joe Johnston, I think, is the guy who did The Rocketeer, one of my favorite movies, period. What a magnificent film The Rocketeer is. Holy crap. If you've never seen The Rocketeer, you should see The Rocketeer. But that same director did the first Captain America movie. And you can see exactly why, you know, you see his era of preference. It's all there. It's that 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s type of thing. You know, classic Americana stuff. And that's The Shadow. If they were going to redo The Shadow today, I'd give it to that guy in a heartbeat and let him run with it. Because I think he would do a great job with it. Because obviously he gets that era. And that's the tricky part. Is whether it would be the older Sandman or The Shadow, these are characters of a different age. You can't modernize. I mean, I guess The Shadow, you could. Sandman, they modernized by making him into, you know, a goth dream god. So they've already kind of done the modernization on that. Could you modernize The Shadow? Yeah, you could. I guess, but I don't know. The Shadow is such a product of that particular era, the Art Deco stuff, like The Rocketeer. Like, you could modernize those things. You could. You could make a modern Rocketeer. In fact, they did. I believe they made a modern animated Rocketeer with a young woman. And I think it was actually, I remember reading that it was actually pretty good. So you could update these things. But at the same time, I think they work, maybe, I'm not going to say I wouldn't watch it. I'm certainly not going to say anything like that. I'm not going to rule anything out. It's hard for me to imagine a Shadow movie in modern times. I mean, I guess you could just set the thing. I don't know, I'm just so used to that character existing in the world that, you know, that particular time, that it's strange to think of the Shadow in a modern film. But honestly, in terms of the character itself, or himself, whatever we refer to characters when they're fictional as, there really is nothing about the character that wouldn't translate to the modern era. There's nothing, because even in the movie, they definitely, and see, this is again where there's a tricky thing you have to do with The Shadow, or maybe not, but the movie attempted to kind of have it both ways, and I think it did a fairly good job. The Shadow, for those who don't know, The Shadow, by the way, is basically Batman. If you want to know where Batman came from The Shadow. He's essentially Batman before Batman. But The Shadow, the whole idea of the character is The Shadow was not a good guy. The Shadow was, in fact, now I believe I think the movie correctly did his backstory where he was some kind of warlord in some country somewhere. And then he is made to repent by fighting evil. and the whole reason he's called the Shadow is because inside of him is his dark past. And therefore, when he is trained in the art of clouding men's minds, because that's what he does. He's basically psychic. I mean, whatever. They don't call it psychic abilities. He's not. The only thing he can do. No, I shouldn't say the only thing. What he does is he makes you not see him. So he goes into your mind and is able to make you think he's not there. However, the one thing he cannot hide, as the name goes, is his shadow, because that is his dark nature. So he is not able to cover that up. So if it's dark, well, then you don't see him. If, as in the movie, you put a flashlight where he is, you don't see him, you see the shadow, and that breaks the spell. They do that in the film. It's a great little trick. Again, he's essentially just psychic. I mean, I say just, but that's what he is. He's psychic. He's making you think you're not there. Jean Grey type trick. And, that, and then the only other thing that really is that he does is he he takes he does identity theft before that was a thing, or at least, the way we know it. But he impersonates multiple different people so that nobody knows who he is. And when he becomes the Shadow, or when he dons his outfit, and this I believe varied in the radio play. I think sometimes this happens, sometimes didn't. It's one of those things where they weren't really paying attention to continuity the way you would today when they did this older stuff. So I don't think they really cared. But I believe that the whole thing where his face changes, I think that was done in the radio show, but not all the time. His name also changed multiple times in the show, or in the radio play. But Lamont Cranston is Lamont Cranston, if I recall, in the radio play. Again, I'm going off memory from a long time ago here. But if I remember correctly, Lamont Cranston was actually because in the movie, he's Lamont Cranston. That's his name. But in the radio play, I don't know did we ever actually know his name? I don't know that his real name was ever said. Lamont Cranston, if I remember, was a guy who looked like him in real life, just happened to look very much like him. And he basically blackmailed that guy into letting him use his identity. And the Shadow's not a nice guy. That's the other thing that's kind of unique about him. And again, not necessarily something that they wouldn't do in a modern movie, but they would probably be reluctant to make him as anti-heroic as he is. He is not a friendly person. He doesn't treat women very well. He doesn't treat anybody really well, to be honest about it. And that's because he didn't just become a superhero. That's the thing. Is the Shadow, the idea of the Shadow is that there is a part of him that is still malevolent or evil or whatever term you want to use, and he's never going to be able to completely purge it, hence the Shadow. It's a great character concept because we get so often these very just clear-cut, I am a superhero, I have no flaws. Which, I don't mind that. That's Superman, and I love Superman. I love Superman in the movies. But, I mean, that's because in the movies you only have to sustain that for, the course of 2 hours, and you can throw a villain at him and it's over with. That's why in the comics, Superman can often be a very boring character for many people because you don't have a lot of places to go with a character like that. You have to come up with, more and more outlandish or superpowered villains because the character himself is, if you just look at it objectively, exceptionally boring. He is literally a flying Boy Scout, So you don't have a lot of room to run with that. And you can do interesting things. That's not to say I don't like Superman. I love Superman. I think the idea is there are really good writers who take that inherent nobility and try to challenge it. And that's great. The character in the right hands is fantastic. All-Star Superman. Go read All-Star Superman if you've never read it. In fact, if you think that Superman is a boring character, go read All-Star Superman because it's such a beautifully written book, and it really manages to take Superman and not change him, but keep him from being boring. What a great Grant Morrison, I believe, wrote that. What a great It's probably one collected volume now. I have, my voice is going a little bit, sorry. I have the 2 slim hardbacks of it, but I'm sure by now it's got an ultimate edition and, probably multiple releases. But I would encourage anybody who thinks Superman just sucks. And I understand where that comes from. I really do, because Superman can be extremely boring. If he's not handled well, he can be extremely boring. But I would say give those books a chance, because it's just, well, I'm not going to just recite the books, but they're just such wonderful, well, yeah, that's okay, wonderful Superman stories that, again, manage to harness that character's pureness and, sincere goodness without being boring. It's not easy. I'm not going to tell you it's a simple thing. I'm not going to tell you it happens very often. In fact, a lot of times, Superman is written very badly because, if you don't know how to handle that, and a lot of writers don't, frankly, and I'm not pretending I would write any better, I probably would make the same mistakes, but you end up just making a big villain for them. You end up creating a big punching bag for Superman to wail on because you don't know what else to do with him. I get it. The character does have that inherent kind of problem where he's not as simple to write for as you would think, because he is essentially God. I mean, really, Superman is just God. Not literally, obviously, but he's so in power level far above almost everyone that unless you exploit his magic vulnerability, which I don't know if that was always there. I don't actually know if Superman was always vulnerable to magic. They basically had to give him that, I think. I mean, they've messed around with Superman's power levels many times over the years. So it's certainly not something that they didn't do. They absolutely have done it many times. Because there were points where Superman was simply juggling planets. Kind of like with the Hulk. The Hulk's power level has also varied quite a bit, depending on who's writing him. I mean, the Hulk has gone from, he's always stronger than a normal person, obviously, but, he too was lifting mountains and stuff at times, which they've managed to, I'll say the Hulk, they've really managed to kind of massage their way out of some of the what's the word for it, the inconsistencies in what his powers are, with the whole, angry making him stronger and all that. They clevered their way out of that. I'll give them that. It was inventive and successful. So I think the Hulk is, they managed to figure out how to reconcile the fact that the character could seem so vastly different depending on who was writing him. Superman is much the same way. There's actually, I know at least there used to be websites that would actually kind of outline all of his different power levels over the years and what he could do. Because originally, and many people probably know this, Superman couldn't fly. Maybe you don't know that. Maybe you're used to Superman flying all the time. Superman couldn't fly. No. Superman used to jump. That's why the whole thing with his, what is it? Up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Superman. Faster than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. That's where that comes from. Is because Superman didn't used to be able to fly. He always had a cape, although it used to be much smaller. It was ridiculously small for a while. It was just this little half cape on his back. It just looked ridiculous. But yeah, he couldn't fly. Superman did not always fly. That's the modern Superman. Now flies all the time, but it just used to be that he used to just jump, much like the Hulk. The Hulk's jumping is what Superman used to do. Superman used to just jump really high up and then land and be okay. But that's where able to leap tall buildings in a single bound comes from, because if you think about that now, it's ridiculous. Why would Superman jump over a building? He can just fly over it. Why would he even bother jumping? Well, because he couldn't always fly. Where was I going with all this? I don't even remember how I got onto the topic of this. Oh, because I said, all right, the Shadow. Oh, wait, how did the Shadow turn? Oh, because I said that that one of the things I like is that the Shadow is a complicated and fundamentally not purely heroic character. That character has a lot of ugliness to him, which you need because that's what he started out as. He was not born a hero. I think that's the main crux of what I like about it, is that he's not born or is not, doesn't start out. I mean, the story catches up with him way later in life, or fairly far in. But he's not a heroic character by default. He's not somebody that ever just completely rehabilitates. Part of his power is, in fact, from the idea that you can't just, and I don't know whether they were really thinking about this particular aspect or commentary with it or not. I'm going to suspect not. This might have been just a way to have the character seem more interesting. But there is something that is really compelling about the fact that this character is, I mean, he kills people too. He is merciless. In fact, outside of his look with the beautiful, simple kind of old style look with the trench coat and the red scarf and the big wide-brimmed hat. His other thing is the dual nickel-plated, I think they're 45s. I think they're guns. And he guns people down. That's also one of the things I like in the movie that they did. As soon as he shows up, I was not supposed to erase that. Oops, let me fix that. There we go. He immediately pulls the guns out and starts mowing people down. Again, something that modern superheroes, a lot of them follow the Batman model, which is don't kill. Superman does that. Is a no-kill hero. I don't have an issue with that. Don't get me wrong. I don't necessarily like the idea of heroes that just go out and kill people without any thought or feeling to it. I don't think that's necessarily a positive. So I don't mind when characters don't kill people. But at the same time, that's, again, the Shadow is not your stock kind of superhero. He's different, or he should be. If done properly, he should not be a cookie cutter, basically just a low-rent Batman, which is what I think a lot of people would probably do with him. They would just make him a psychic Batman. It's not what the Shadow is. He's supposed to be, to some degree rough. You're supposed to not necessarily be entirely comfortable with this guy running around doing the things that he's doing. He's not supposed to come off as, he is handsome and all that stuff, but when he's the Shadow, he's not. See, there again, the whole thing with his face changing. It's really brilliant little pieces of storytelling, because in using his powers, he becomes very ugly and unattractive, because he is essentially tapping into something that is an atonement for really terrible acts. That again, this is one of the things I like about the movie. The movie, don't get me wrong, they do soften him quite a bit, but they also do not sugarcoat what he did in his former life. You see him massacring an entire village, which one of the characters, you don't see this, of course. They wouldn't, even then they wouldn't do stuff like showing children being killed on screen, or at least, not in the way that the story is told. But you find out he had met, hold on, I see it. You find out that he has massacred a village, and that, he's completely splattered with blood and everything else, and there is no mercy in it whatsoever. He is a brutal killer, because the character, the Shiwan Khan character, basically says, "Hey, who are you trying to fool? You're dressing up and playing hero, but I know what you are. I know what you are." And I like that, because it's an interesting character. I don't like the fact that he's bad necessarily, but it makes him stand out. It makes the Shadow character more unique than simply, somebody who was, the origin stories for a lot of superheroes are often very common and similar and boring. How many times have we seen Batman's parents killed, right? Batman who then, Batman who you would think, having seen his parents getting slain right in front of him, would be a little bit more amenable to capital punishment. You would certainly think this is a character who would not have a problem killing. And by the way, here again, little lesson for people who may only know the modern version of Batman, he did kill people at one time. Batman has not been a no-kill hero the whole run. Batman carried guns for a while. Yes. They ditched it pretty early on, but Batman was shooting people and killing people in the early days. So, There again, Batman, this is what I mean about Batman was essentially just the Shadow until they realized they wanted to make him different. Whether that was for a legal reason or they just kind of decided they wanted to go a different direction, I don't know. But, now we are so used to Batman as I will not kill anybody. That is not how the character always was. And it's interesting, too, that this I think actually is something that is interesting about Batman in a way that I didn't really appreciate when I was younger, but now I kind of look at it, I'm like, oh, that's interesting, is that Superman makes sense that Superman won't kill anybody. Like, that makes sense. Because Superman is often portrayed as just supernatural. Well, I mean, he's an alien, so I guess you would say extraterrestrially, if that's a word, good. Like, just unnaturally good. Like, will refuse to believe, Kobayashi Maru type. I don't believe in the no-win scenario. I don't believe there's any way that I can't make sure everybody's alive and that I don't have to kill anybody. So in that way, Superman's no-kill policy makes complete sense. That's the character. The character is a no-kill character because the character doesn't, is so inherently, portrayed as pure. So that makes sense. Batman, on the other hand, is a product of a crime, in a crime-ridden city. It is interesting that he does not want to kill anybody, because you would think that he would look around and perhaps come to the determination, Rorschach style maybe, and obviously Rorschach is at least partially a play on Batman and what Batman is and isn't, and the kind of paradox of him. But the logical conclusion would be, okay, things are so bad that murder is required to fix them. That you can't allow especially with Arkham and the revolving door of villains to come out, it is sort of almost a silly thing that Batman has not executed some of these people who have killed, in some cases, a lot of people. Just doesn't seem like Batman would be the character that would have that moral authority or moral limit, I should say, not authority, but limit to him. Superman, yes. Superman is the product of a nurturing family that loved him unconditionally, even though he was an alien. You can see why his default position would be to see the best in people and not want to kill them. Superman makes sense. Superman's no-kill policy makes complete sense in light of what the character is. Batman's does not. And I guess you could make an argument, and I'm not saying it's wrong, that, and maybe I'm arguing against myself or kind of contesting myself as I'm saying this, that perhaps Batman's very visceral experience of a terrible, violent crime might make him reject doing such a thing to anybody else. Maybe. I'm not going to say that doesn't make any sense. It might. Like I said, I'm always kind of interested in the psychology of characters. And Batman and Superman and the Shadow as well. I think the Shadow is so interesting because there is so, at least there was, and now again, I haven't read, actually I did read a Modern Shadow comic not too long ago, and they did preserve those elements. They really did make it very clear that the Shadow was not supposed to be a Superman or Batman type, that he was something different. And it would be interesting to see if they would preserve that in a modern film. I don't know. And maybe if they did, audiences wouldn't want it. Audiences right now want a very specific type of hero. The clean-cut Marvel-esque hero it's working. They keep making money with it. As long as they keep making money with it, they're not going to change anything. That's for sure. You know that. So, I don't know. Would a Shadow movie even be attempted right now? And if it was, what would it look like? It might not be all that good, because I do think for the Shadow to work and not to come off, because here's the other thing, right? This is the thing you have to try to avoid. If you scrub the Shadow's scumminess, or whatever you want to refer to as flaws, if you clean those flaws out because you think that's what people want, what people will see is basically they're going to say, oh, this is a Batman ripoff, even though, of course, the character preceded Batman. And that, that's what a modern audience might see if you scrub the defects. But if you don't scrub the defects, does a modern audience show up? I don't know. I really don't know. And I have a feeling that that's the question that would be bounced around to anybody who would be considering funding such a film. Is, well, what is this film going to look like? Now, you can have heroes with defects. You can do it. But the Shadow is not just a guy with a tortured past. This is a guy who is, I don't know. I don't know how you rehabilitate that character. I don't know that you should. Because I don't know, does that sap the kind of power of his particular unique story? I don't know. I'm not a writer. Clearly. I may have good ideas once in a while, but I'm no writer. So I don't know how you balance that. Do I think somebody could probably do it? Yes. But like I said, I don't know if they'll be allowed to do it. There's the other thing, is what will a studio allow? What will they want? Will they say, no, you have to make this, for funding this, we want a Batman-style, villain or hero. So, you can't kill anybody. Well, forget it. If he can't kill anybody, it ain't the Shadow. Shadow wipes people out. That's what he does. That's why he's got those guns. And they look great. You can't, again, I say you can't. Of course, any studio that owns the IP could do whatever they want. They're free to ruin things as they wish. They do it constantly. We see lots of reboots that just fundamentally do not understand what the appeal of the original was. So I say they can't, meaning nothing. They can do whatever they want, whoever owns it. Do I think it's advisable? No. Is anybody asking me? No. So we may yet get a Shadow movie, and who knows what it would look like. I don't know. Because look at Dredd. Dredd, which was a beautifully done adaptation of the original character, and they understood the character, and they did it right. The movie did not make enough money for them to make any more. At least, not yet. So, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. All right, let's see. Where are we? Okay, let's turn some of our glass back on. Yeah, that worked out pretty good. Out of frame glass. We're getting there. The glass is getting laid in. That looks good. I'm going to leave it white. I don't know. I could invert it, I guess. Does it look better inverted? I don't know if I like that. I don't know that I like that. Let's try some different effects. Anything look interesting? I don't know. I don't know. Overlay's not bad. Overlay might be better because it feels like it's more informed by the color of the glass. That might not be bad. No. I'm just looking at different effects here. No. Nah, I don't want to do the dark glass. I mean, I guess I could. But I kind of like, where was I? Overlay, I think? I think overlay was the one I kind of liked. I don't mind that. I think overlay looks all right. I don't mind overlay. I think I'm going to go with that. I think overlay is what we're going to do with this. Let's do overlay for all these and just see how we look. I think I like it. I think I like the fact that it feels like it's taking on the qualities of the glass. I like that. Well, actually, those... Which one's that one? That one? Let me invert that one. Let's see. Let's play with this one a little bit. Well, that red is interesting, but it makes no sense. I'm not finding one I really like so far. Ugh. I don't want that. Maybe we'll leave that one white. And maybe we'll make the in-between ones into regular white. Just give it some variety. Let's see. What does an overlay look like on? No, actually, I kind of like that. I think that gives enough where you can see it, but it gives it some variety. It makes it look a little different. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm all right with that. Yeah, this stuff I always think, I'm like, oh, I'm probably going to get a lot of glass done in an hour, but look, we're in an hour, and all I did was But that's what I aim to do. I said I wanted to try to get the Holy Diamonds done. I got them done under an hour, according to the timer, because I talked for like 6 minutes. So managed to get it done. So I'm not going to complain. It's moving along the way I want it to. This is shaping up well. So I don't know if I'm going to do another stream this week. just because you could hear my voice was starting to go a little bit, so I'll see how it goes. But anyway, I did want to stream for a bit. Did a nice hour. Coming up right on at the buzzer. It will be at the buzzer. I don't know why I did that. At the buzzer, it will be 1 hour. So this has been 60 minutes. So I am going to go ahead and stop the stream momentarily. Let's switch back. Man, I have to admit, I like that graphic. I know it's but I like that it's animated. Just, In any event, yeah, so we'll see. Might do another stream. Maybe on Friday. We'll just see how things are. But in any event, had a good time doing this one. Let me stop my mirroring thing here. Yeah. But I didn't know. I mean, really on Monday, even my voice was a mess, so I didn't know if I was going to be able to stream at all. So my voice has been able to, or has recovered enough that I'm like, okay, no, yeah, I can do it. I got enough of a voice for it, so why not go ahead and do it? And yeah, so status update. I'm just posting this somewhere really quick. There we go. And tell them. So we'll see. Maybe Friday. If not, then probably the same bat time next week. But yeah, I was seeing The Shadow, which I really wouldn't be surprised. It doesn't have a... It's a movie that gets forgotten. Well, okay. In terms of the movies I've talked about in the course of this stream, see The Rocketeer first if you haven't. There's another movie. It gets forgotten, even though it's just stellar. It's just a great movie. It's a great movie all around. So see The Rocketeer. Also watch The Shadow. I think a criminally underrated movie. Really, really great adaptation of that character. I like everybody in it. And read All-Star Superman, especially if you think Superman is boring. Because I don't necessarily disagree, but I would say that that book or those books, depending on how they're being sold right now, those stories, that covers it, those stories are a good answer to how do you make Superman interesting. A character that is fundamentally overpowered and boring in the kind of subjective way. How do you use that character effectively? All-Star Superman. Superman for All Seasons is good, but it's not as good as All-Star Superman. All-Star Superman is the answer to that question. Now I'm going to shut up because now I'm just rambling. Thanks for stopping by. Go out there and create something, whether you're drawing, whether you're making music, whether you're writing, whether you're playing with your mashed potatoes and making them into a mountain or a water slide, whatever it is, create something. Thanks for stopping by and watching. Take care.